I made it a point not to say anything about this one during its build-up. I've got no interest in crossover fights. Along with the whole YouTuber boxing phenomenon, it's just another cancer boxing could really do without. It slows everything down. You've just got the ignorant who want to see people they recognise go at it. That's got nothing to do with creating a quality sport. But because Tyson Fury very arguably lost there against a making his debut Francis Ngannou, I've got to say something about it. I've yet to check out the fight. I have seen the knockdown, which was a nicely picked counter hook by Ngannou, as Fury was trying to step in with a second right hand. But it sounds like a lot of people are going for basically 5 rounds each, but on the strength of the knockdown, Ngannou should have just shaded this. From everything I've read, people are leaning towards the MMA guy who should have had his hand raised. But whether he should or shouldn't have, a lot of people have also made the point, the fact this is contestable, the fact we're even here talking about this, who won, this is a bit of a disaster for Fury and kind of for boxing. As the saying goes, nothing exists in a vacuum, so you've kind of got to separate all the facets of this encounter to gain a proper perspective, to try and make sense of it. Now, I'm no big fan of Tyson Fury. I probably speak on behalf of the boxing world there. But he wasn't in great shape, was he? He looked bloated for his usual standards. The feet were very heavy. And so he may have even felt that he actually put the work in the gym. But now you're getting less back. It's diminishing returns because your body is degrading all the stuff you've put in it, the hard living, the party powder, the alcohol, all the things you hear. This is eventually going to catch up to you, and you're not going to be able to get back quite what you had. And so because he might be a pretty well-worn 35, it reminds me of what Manny Stewart said about Lennox Lewis before his last fight against Vitaly Klitschko. He was like, look, Lennox is in the best shape since the first Holyfield fight. He felt he'd put in that amount of work, but then, of course, there wasn't the same output because you've got an older guy whose body doesn't respond the same. And then we look at the fact that Ngannou was able to cancel out certain things Fury usually enjoys, like mugging you off in the clinches, leaning all over you. Ngannou is such a specimen. What is he, at least 6'6"? He's built like, I don't know, like a Marvel character. Look how thick his legs are. There's not a part of his body where you think, oh, that's a little bit out of place. No, he is just so solid. And on top of his ability to stop Fury having his way with him physically, roughing him up, he was showing great wherewithal. He was apparently throwing uppercuts on the inside, a little bit of infighting. He had his own tricks. And a key point, when he was switching stance, he was doing this from a point of intelligence. He was looking for new angles and feeling when it was necessary to change it up. This wasn't a Dylan White starting the fight southpaw who just ended up confusing himself. And another piece of the jigsaw, what at first seemed to be just pure novelty, getting Mike Tyson into your camp to train you, and thinking, well, how are you going to put the peekaboo style into the much longer Ngannou? Well, he must have done something all right, because Ngannou, his patience there, his focused boxing, you know, when you don't have to worry about getting wrestled to the ground, you don't have to worry about getting kicked in the leg. That seemed to hone what boxing he had, plus this training camp, which must have been very profitable. And he just seemed to have quite a few tricks up his sleeve. He was using his own tremendous reach very well, again, cancelling out something that Fury usually enjoys. And I saw a very good stabbing jab to the body. So, of course, there's all kinds of narratives now sprouting from this contest. Where does Ngannou rate in the top 10? As crazy as that sounds. A rematch between Ngannou and Fury? Do we want that? Have we got the time for it? We want Fury-Usyk, but is that really going to happen now, December 23rd? I very much doubt it. They seem so crestfallen and disengaged, both Frank Warren and Tyson Fury, in the wake of that fight. Of course, Eddie Hearn is now trying to push for Joshua Fury. Oh, let's try and make it for the millionth time. And while I haven't got much appetite for that right now, the fact that we didn't get, and it looks like we're never going to get, AJ Fury is one of the many reasons that goes directly against the claims, mostly by Team Fury, of how great Tyson Fury is. You've got to fight all the guys in your era. You have got to defend the keep regularly against the most outstanding contenders and former champions. That's how it works. It doesn't change the criteria for greatness when we get into a new era. No, you go and look at the best heavyweights of all time over the last 100 years. The guys within the top 5 will share a lot of things in common. Things that Fury is sorely lacking. And as we've just seen, one of the reasons defending against everybody, come one, come all, is so important is that it's often the guy you really don't expect to cause you trouble who ends up making life very complicated. Now, it may be a bit of a combination of the fact that you weren't in the best shape, but that's all part and parcel of being a tremendous champion. You have got to show up ready all the time. And if you aren't fully ready, if something happens that wasn't in the script, like, say, getting floored, and kudos to Tyson Fury for getting up again and showing those great powers of recovery. But once you do get up, you're supposed to reaffirm your dominance, put it beyond dispute and go, look, I'm the best on the planet. You're not supposed to be so tentative in the dire moments when it's still very debatable who's won, and just leave everybody shaking their head. Now, we may very well be looking at a fighter who doesn't have much of an appetite left to want to fight, who is mostly after money and is really chomping for that finish line to his career. But in terms of the fights that still need to happen within a semi-respectable window, you see Usyk getting a few more grey hairs. It's still a mess. We're still waiting for an undisputed heavyweight champion in this era. Since Wilder first picked up the WBC in January of 2015, this is still going on. We haven't concluded the story. And now we've got a Francis Ngannou to possibly worry about. But what do you make of all of this? Is there going to be a Fury-Ngannou rematch? Will his pride make him go, no, I've got to go in again? Is his body and mind just not there to want to do it? Are we ever going to get Fury-Usyk? And could possibly Joshua have his say in all of this mess? What did you make of this?